Could you please pronounce your name correctly for me?
Hello, my name is Angela Ferreira.
Now, you have a diverse, like, you've traveled a lot. Give me some background on this because it's incredibly worldly.
Well, I'm Portuguese, so that makes me part of the long story of having the sea as a view. I all the time was curious what to look what is going on about the history of Portugal. So I was curious about all the territories where Portugal have history. And so I was curious about Brazil, of course, and about India and all these colonization territories. And well, I was curious about that, not only in terms of visuality, in terms of anthropological situation and views and poetry too. You know, Portugal is a country of poets. So the poetry makes me, interest in looking for these different territories that we have history and have connections, and we have also approaches, and we are a country made of friendship, but also made of colonization. So we have a story of different contrasts, views, and our situation is based in seduction. So we were seductive.
I love all of that. But I was really asking about sort of like the actuality. So you were born where
Well,
you
I born in Portugal, in north of Portugal, in the countryside, and I was very curious about since the beginning about writing and reading. So my father, since the beginning, was very curious to give me some books and some ideas that opened me the mind of reading and also taking pictures. Yes, I was trying, well, amateur with my father, but since the beginning, as my father is also teacher or was teacher, and I was also interested in how to tell stories in terms of education, so it starts like this.
what did he teach?
Well, it's a primary teacher, so teach to the children. So it's why I still have this childish way of looking to the things.
It's
And
marvelous.
yes, I hope hopefully I will keep like this, like a child. But my first degree was law. That's interesting. Yeah.
That's random. Yeah.
Yes. But in terms, because I was very curious about society, society and justice. And this is really an important terms, like my father teach me. So I was very good student. And of course, I entered in the first choice. So I went in to study law in Braga, the city where I am now. So a part of that, of being a lawyer, I was all the time taking some courses and degrees related with creativity. So I was all the time having these lines, society and creativity. So I studied theater and I studied photography at the same time as law. So it's why I have more or less this kind of diplomacy and organize my mind in terms of organizing events, organizing, to be in leadership in terms of organizing things for people and for society, and to my classroom. So I was all the time organizing processes of platforms in terms of how to construct a city, for instance, in Braga, how to construct a city for youth. So I was based in the first program like Generation, which is a very important platform that was based in Braga, especially.
Slow down, slow down.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit if you're gonna talk about something called generations
Yeah.
in Braga, give us a little backstory on that. Because
Okay.
I mean, just basically assume that everybody has never known who you are or anything you've ever done before. So, like, spell it out to us like we're children and that we have no
Mhm.
knowledge about you.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, no, it's a pleasure to speak with you, and I allow you to interrupt me. Ask you sorry. My English is not so fantastic as yours. It's not my native language, but I will do my effort. And yeah, that's it. So after the law degree, And as I have so many talents for creativity, I decided to quit law and to follow another degrees related with art director and artistic direction. So, and afterwards I decided to go to make a master degree in photography. So every time everything related with visualities, with the visual art and media art. So, well, law is, of course, belongs to the past. Yeah. And of course, it's interesting and it makes me, as a figure, very curious about the society and about the way the humanity can deal with problems and deal with the laws. And yeah, it helped me a lot, especially to understand better the humanity. And afterwards, well, I after my master degree, I was invited to go to Brazil to give lessons there, and yeah,
Wait, slow down. You were invited to Brazil. Who invites people to Brazil?
well, because since the beginning, I was I had some connections and friends in Brazil. We speak the same language, and as soon as my master was already done, well, it was immediately, the invitation to give lessons in the university and to prepare degrees for kids and also for students in terms of studies in with the distance, because Brazil is a very big country and it's necessary to work with the distance, so it's why we were so prepared to deal actually with the distance, as nowadays we are obliged to do it.
Where in Brazil did you go?
It was the first time there. The territory was near the coast, so it was Fortaleza, is the capital of the northeast of Brazil.
I
Yeah,
did a research project when I was in like high school on Brasilia and its
Brasilia.
architecture and its
Yeah,
design. I love the I mean the concept of it's great. The practicality of it didn't work, but nice
yeah.
idea.
It was based in dreams, everything based in dreams. It's amazing and keeps the narrative. But of course, in terms of practicality, sometimes it doesn't work. Yeah. Yes.
No, didn't at all. But
No.
lovely idea.
Hmm. Yeah, that's right. And then Brazil, it came. Well, I was interested of the tropics, especially I was interested for the ancestrality of the communities. So as I was there already giving lessons in Brazil, I started to make deep my research around representation or self-representations of the indigenous communities. I was interested in the way they deal with their image, the way they self-represent, and the way they take pictures and use photography. So it was, in terms, I was trying to make it an anthropological study about self-portrait and about also painted photography, so the way they painted in the top of photography. And I found it amazing stories about that because, the painting together with photography can open a kind of social status that the ancestrality doesn't have anymore. So it was interesting because they were painted with a tie and the earrings and this kind of very pop elements of the occidentality. So that makes me really reflect and create some connections about what is photography about. Maybe photography can be what they want to be, so it was really interesting to study. And then I really entered in the painted photography and how we can transform ourselves in painting. So it was, it's still a long-term project, so I did my PhD there together with Rio de Janeiro, based in the construction of the self-portrait paintings and based in an artistic book. And I can say this is a cooperative book because they painted themselves and they are artists inside of this my own book, which is, in terms of education, it's the paradise because you can combine all the all the aspects of being teacher, being artist, being human being, I think, in the end. Well, where we were.
Book collaboration.
Yes, yes, it was a collaborative process, and that enters my attraction of the education field and how we can learn with each other, and how we can, especially in these kind of communities who are very fragile, because they are still fighting for their lands and they don't have any kind of self-esteem. And so it was really important project, because we can give importance to their organization in terms of bring impact of the social importance of protecting the indigenous communities in Brazil, who are totally, forgotten, and who are totally being destroyed recently, not because of the virus, but because because they have still are the owners of the lands, and there are a lot of capitalism around these lands. Well,
Well, I saw in your bio that you talked about colonization and this kinds of stuff. Like, I'm from America. I don't know much about all of that. So, like, how did that impact you, and how does that then sort of translate into impact your either your artwork or your curatorial work or any of these other kinds of things? That issue of sort of colonization and all this.
mhm. Well, colonization doesn't work only with nations that have the past of colonization. I think we are still facing this between countries. So we teach how to colonize each other. So we are totally abused of this term colonization. It's not only related with history, but it happens nowadays. I become more aware, especially because I understand that being woman in society, especially in art society, is also being a kind of colonized in terms of being used by my competences, by my own vision. So, in a way, using colonization is not only because of that territories, but it's also because my own territory. So, I'm not only observer, I am active part of this, and I can tell you this colonization process. So it's important my voice as looking, of course, with these terms in a way that we can reflect about, and then we can open discussions about the power ship, the patriarchal societies, and especially of the minorities who doesn't have voice, and it's interesting to give voice. So of course I'm interested about Portugal who colonized countries, but in the end I'm also interested the way we are still using the same formulas in our organization of societies.
Oh, yeah. America's horrible at it. We're the biggest bullies in the world. I mean, we don't do the, like, physical
It is,
colonization, but we do the sexist colonizations, the pop culture colonizations, the English language, like, we
yeah.
push that on everybody as well. Like, we're horrible at it. I'm don't yeah, I take no offense because I was just born here. I had no
Yeah,
choice.
but I think me too. It's the same. I have no choice. But it's interesting the way we can touch to put the finger on that errors of the past, and that can make you. I can feel better if I do it this, because I'm so attractive by Brazil and by these countries that Portugal colonized. So I need at least to not. I don't want to have this kind of guilty, in my back. And in a way, speaking about this is interesting because you can open and give more light to the issue, I think. You don't think so, as American, that we have a voice, especially now?
Do we have a voice?
We
Do
need
I
to
think we have a
say, we
voice?
need to say something.
Oh, I absolutely
Yeah,
do think we have a voice. The question is though, when you have that voice, how do you like so because I put the term voice
yeah,
equivalent to like power.
power.
Basically, you have power through your voice. So what are you doing with that voice? Is
Hmm.
sort of the end result of it. Like, okay, great, you're drawing attention to something. but what's happening with that attention? Is it being used in a positive way, or is it being used, unfortunately, in a negative
Yeah,
way?
well, I think I can tell you that we are now reaching a time that I exactly opened a show recently in Portugal, and especially about these discolonization processes. So I think it's interesting to invert the situation. We are living so much in this time of a lot of civilization problems are coming to the up, so it's good to invert, like maybe the center is not the center anymore. So it's time to understand where is the periphery. You know what I'm saying is not only, it's not only about power, it's about a lot of things that were in shadow. So it's good to open space to give light to all the shadows in the world, especially the problems in the black people or indigenous people, all these kind of different visions that are coming to the up. I think it's interesting to give, that is the voice I want to tell. It's not power ship, but to give space to construct that possibilities.
I think it's great. I don't work like that, so it's really nice to hear other people who are trying to make a cultural shift, try and
Yes.
change the direction of things. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not my way. I'm much more subtle,
Hmm.
but
Yes, yes.
but you're more sort of it's not blunt or blatant, but like you're actively encouraging the conversation.
Hmm. Yes, it's to encourage the conversation. I think is the best sentence to explain what is going on now.
Now, so within that, we talked a little bit before we started recording. So I'm going to ask you the same questions again. So, you, throughout your life, you've been both a practicing artist doing your own works, and you've been a curator, which you seem to be sort of equally known for both.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if there's any sort of issues or concerns that come up with sort of the balancing act of being both a practicing artist and an active curator.
Hmm. I understand that we still don't conquer the maturity about what is the paper of the curator, because curator is not only the only one that organize exhibitions or make research. It's could be also an artist. Why not? And being curator is not being a priest. You can have you can have different possibilities, and you can be also a singer or a musician or a player. I don't know. I think at least must be. I think the most important thing must be smart. The way they creates connections between arts and between artists, because curating is organizing terms, organizing thoughts, and organizing also meanings. And sometimes it's necessary to understand very deeply each universe of artists in order to create interesting combinations between them, combinations between times, between languages, between issues. And I think that needs really an ethic domain of the theme. And it's so the issues or ethic issues is not only related with the artist. I think the question needs to be directed the way the person is very authentic in the way it deals with the theme of the curatorship. I don't know if you understand. My English is sometimes is not perfect. Yeah.
You're doing beautifully. Do not stress over anything.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't worry about that. Okay, but within what you just said, what I, as a practicing artist and a potential curator, because I've done it in the past, though I
Hmm.
don't actively try to do it, and as a teacher also, like, so when you as a curator are coming up with a thing, like, so what's your technique of sort of coming up with a exhibition or a proposal or whatever, like, do you make proposals
Hmm.
or do people come to you?
Hmm.
And then once you have that sort of, like, how do you even find, I always wonder this, like, how do you curators find inspiration to decide this is going to be the theme?
Mhm.
Kind of like, how do you, because literally you could choose anything in the
It's
world
true.
to be your theme.
Mhm. It's
So,
true.
like, how do you refine that down
Mhm.
to an intelligible, cohesive topic?
Yeah, it's a kind of cocktail, you're right. It's you do a kind of cocktail, organize a lot of information, and being curator is based in connections, not only connections in terms of different languages, but also people that you know, in terms of institutions, in terms of publishers, the different ecosystem that you are entering in. Sometimes, as because the context of your life, give you the possibility. In my term, well, my situation, it was like this. So you have this kind of ecosystem, so of course you can simply be invited, or you can present a proposal. If I present a proposal, sometimes it's for, of course, much more based in my universe, because it's based in my taste, and it's based in my way of looking to the world. Of course, that makes me totally free in my proposal, and of course the others can accept or not. But anyway, I think at least it's much more fresh and much more, I think, much more related with the times, much more vanguardist, much more fresh in terms of question you want to put it in that curatorship. But of course you can also follow a proposal, and when you are following a proposal, of course you have ethic questions.
So, like, are you just do you just what like, what are the things that influence you? Because, like, I'm thinking, is it you go and see other exhibitions and there's some element of that exhibition that you're like, "I wish there was another exhibition that sort of investigated that more,"
Mhm.
or are you watching movies or reading books or reading articles? Like, what are the things that sort of get a curator onto a topic that then becomes an exhibition?
It's, of course, it's very hard question, that, it's very hard. What makes you, what makes you make transform, what creates the link? I think it's based on what world needs. It's a little bit romantic idea, but you need at least to be, you know not create formulas. There are no formulas, otherwise everything is already organized. But I think the world needs, for instance, this time world is totally, sick. So we need different formulas, need different formats, and we are tired of the same system of organizing an exhibition with 20 pictures in a room. It's, of course, there are classics, and we are there are all the time, and all the space for the classics. But actually, actually it's necessary to create another connections. We use it, hybridism in terms of languages, try to invite amateurs to talk with professionals, which is really amazing that you can create, try to make totally, because we are all the time speaking for the same groups. You are talking with me, and you are more or less in the same group. I think it's in terms of the same situation, or the same class, or so I think it's necessary to create a kind of walls. No, but I'm talking about the education, the process of education. I think it's necessary to open a little walls for different possibilities, or different agents, because we can learn more, and we can learn more processes. And it's not only in terms of a good curriculum. I think it's in terms of living and experience with living and with working.
Okay, so based on what you just said, how do you feel? You were talking about how like traditions have to change and things have to be new. How do you feel about the future of the art world as sort of post pandemic? What's needed, what's missing, what has to change? Because a lot of people talk about how like the arts world is broken and things need to change, and the art fairs, they're all going to be different. But then on the other hand, maybe it's all just going to snap back to the same way it was before.
Hmm. We are all the time. reconstruct ourselves. Remember, since we were child, we were all the time saying, "Ah, we are facing crisis again and again." I think I don't have the idea that everything will change or we need to change. Of course, we need to change, but I'm not so positive that things will change.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Well, we are repeating the same formulas, and what we need to say, maybe it's to live authenticity. I think with each other, and at least to be honest with each other, to sleep well without problems. I think it's good, because otherwise we will fail as a humanity, and I think it's necessary to learn better how to be better or better human beings. I think not only artists, but also to learn with the others. I think this kind of collaborative process of learning, of giving, of receiving, of teaching, I think it's necessary to improve better.
Well, and that's a great segue because I was gonna ask you about teaching. So, like,
Mhm.
how do your interest in these sort of, more anthropological things influence your teaching of art?
Well, it influenced me a lot because even I understand that it's so necessary to learn the classics. It's so urgent to understand tabloids, to understand the basics of the philosophy and ethic and law. But I can tell you that the most inspiring testimonies are based from people that teach me. For instance, one poem can change totally your way of looking. If you connect with someone who is totally sensitive, you will understand immediately, and that people can change your life ever and ever. And I can tell you some people that changed me my life, and they don't need to be artists or creators. Sometimes it's only people that I met in the bus. It's so interesting to be aware of that signs. So that means if you are open to these kind of possibilities, you can grow. And so I think the education is based on this kind of different inputs, not only the basics, the of course the academy, the classics, but combined also with intuition, which I think it's very important, and trust. And well, these kind of possibilities that sometimes the students are not aware. They are so fantastic sometimes, and then it's necessary to give them confidence.
Okay, just to be clear, like, so what is it you do currently teach, like, at university?
I teach contemporary photography, and I teach also history of photography. And I love to combine both because, in a way, when you teach contemporary photography, you understand the classics. So it's so necessary not to forget the history. So it's why this both disciplines are important, and also give a discipline based in photo book making, the construction of photo books, and the context and the analyze of narratives, which is interesting too, how to tell stories. So well I and well, of course, I do a lot of different possibilities, also dissertation methodologies. And I think in the end, but the most important thing is contemporary photography combined with photo books.
Oh, yeah, I'm all about it. I do handmade books when I have with the time and opportunity, and, like, I just hired a photographer to do a wet plate collodion portrait of my family. So, like, you preaching to the choir here. I'm so on your side with all this stuff.
Oh, it's good to know that, Matt.
Yeah, yeah, we've got a guy here in where I am right now in North Carolina that actually does wet plate collodion and tintype photographs, and
uh,
it's just love it.
but I would love so much to enter more on this field too. It's interesting also to learn this. And of course, we have also a laboratory in the school, and it's good when we have the student have this tendency to work on the technique. But it's also good to have the possibility to create and to narrate and create stories behind that, and that is interesting.
I love it. Please elaborate on this for me. So, how important these days is the sense of a sort of a narrative or a story behind the artwork? So, I don't care if it's a photograph or some other form of art, but any artwork having a narrative or a story behind it.
Well, I was all the time interested in visual storytelling. I think the way of creating stories, you can really inspire others to not only to construct their own stories, but to understand better the world. Because you need fiction to understand reality. It's why I all the time create this transition between documentary and fictionary. So it's why I'm so all the time interested in all these kind of languages that create this kind of hybridization between media, video, audio. Of course, photography is it's the main language, but you need the others to create the best ones, the best narratives, or the other ones that that makes you, that creates you a kind of comfortable idea of living. So it's why it's good so much to create stories about that.
Okay, within that, so like, because I have a thing, I do portfolio reviews for an online website for photographers, and a lot of times they are always encouraged to submit images and text. So whether it be a artist statement or titles or captions or whatever it is, most photographers I find are really horrible
I
at it. Like
understand.
they're really bad, and I am too. You know, my background's photography, so like I'm as bad as everybody else. So I'm not judging that, but what I want to know is sort of from your perspective as a curator, as having been part of festivals and all this kind of stuff. Like, how important are those texts in the whole context of the work? Is it necessary, or could the work sort of be without?
When you have the word narrative, it's not necessary that the narrative needs to have text. So, narrative means at least the sequence and the organization of the story needs to have at least a kind of rhythm and a kind of dance between the story. If you don't need text, fantastic, because you were able to tell the story without text. But sometimes the text can give a little bit clues to the story, or can create a contrast with the story. So I think the text is good, but of course it depends of the story of you are saying. And I love the fact that sometimes it's not necessary to be like a very classic way of telling or writing. Can be only, some words or some sounds that you can create in the image. I don't know. It depends, but I understand the most important thing is the narrative. I think it's necessary. Well, especially in the portfolio, and but I have one good thing to tell you, Matt. It's
Just one good thing? You should give me
no,
more
at
than
least
one good thing.
one hope.
Okay.
Well, I can give you some hope. That's because there are some artists that they don't need to fit in the portfolio review. Sometimes they arrive there with 20 pictures, and sometimes it's the formula doesn't fit to them portfolio, because their universe, it's totally a part of 20 pictures. And so maybe they printed the pictures to show us, and they are there, technically limited with that. But sometimes doesn't make sense though. They don't need to be in the box. They don't need to they It's necessary to open fresh air to that people and give some hope. So that's when a good thing. I think the most important thing is to have a good conversation with them. I love so much to know people and to understand the creative process. And to be a reviewer, it's very nice, because you can learn and you can teach so much, and you can understand. You can also and grow as a reviewer. That's interesting.
Oh, I've been doing these online ones. I've done almost 3,000 of them. Like,
Yes,
it's a lot of reviews.
yes,
There are a lot of people in the world that
yes,
need help and feedback, and luckily the internet exists, because like 30 years
yes.
ago, these people got no feedback. So at least now they at least have some opportunity to get some
And it's
feedback.
so good, no? It's so fantastic to review. I love it too. Yeah.
I do enjoy doing it, but sometimes it's a little repetitive because I find that
Can
a
be
lot of people
exhausting.
make similar
Yeah.
mistakes, and I shouldn't even say mistakes, but they have similar things that they haven't put enough effort into, basically. So whether it's titles,
Mm,
captions, sequencing,
mhm,
so like they may make beautiful images, but they may not sort of know how to
mm,
present them quite
mhm.
well. Like I mean, we come from photography background. Like I always thought from my training in America 30 years ago that a photograph is not finished until you put it in a frame and put it on the
Yeah,
wall. Like then it's a finished photograph.
yes.
But before that, it's just a piece of paper with an image on it.
Mhm.
So it's that completion of the subject. So like wrapping it all together, putting a bow on it and saying this is
Ah,
done.
mhm, mhm. Yeah,
That's a lot of times the hard part
mm.
is knowing
When
when
with
to be
the hand,
done.
yes, yes. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. But anyway, I enjoy it a lot, and you can be very useful, and you can understand there are so many stories behind one people, and one person can tell you so much. And sometimes it's so easy, to transform the process and to help to organize things in a better way, in term to give importance for the narrative, and you can make other person very happy with that, and that's fantastic.
Now, how long have you been teaching?
Well, I started teaching since photography, exactly photography, since 10 years ago. Yeah, it's not too much.
Okay.
Yeah.
About the same as
Yes,
me.
10 years.
I've been doing it about 12 or 13 in total with a gap in there,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah.
have gaps too, because sometimes you need to stop and to create another degrees, and the gaps are important. Yeah.
Yes, we often need time to sit back and reflect.
It's why it's so important also the teacher to work also in their own practice, to create also their own art. I think it's good, to
Oh, yeah. My wife and I have this conversation quite frequently. She's an
yeah.
accountant,
Mm,
so she does not understand the art world or the academic world at all. And so, like, there's this thing of like, if you're going to be an academic, even if you are not selling your artwork, you need to be exhibiting your art. So,
mhm.
so even as an academic, you have to be
Sure,
producing
for
work,
sure.
even if there's no money coming back, because it's the production of the work that makes a book or an exhibition or whatever that then makes it so you can get a better teaching job. Like,
Yeah,
so
you need to all the time to cycling the bike, otherwise you stop. Totally. Yeah, you're right. And sometimes you don't have even fresh air to keep riding. And it's very hard for teachers, especially teacher based in arts, because you need, otherwise the students will look to you, said, aha, so you are only teacher.
yeah, basically you're one of those people that can't make it in the art world, so you just fell back to teaching. So like you've got to try and keep saying, no, no, I'm still a good artist and a teacher. Like I'm not doing it as a fallback job.
Yeah, but you have all the time this kind of clock in the top of your head all the time. Come on, you need to go, and you need to keep creating, and you need to be very active. And teacher, you need to keep forever young, and it's really a very pressure. Yeah, I'm not complaining. I feel so blessed with that. But it's hard work. Huh? You need to construct yourself as an artist, as a educator.
And you're only as good as your most recent artworks.
Yes,
So you have to continually be refining and redoing and
keep the level. Yeah.
whew, indeed.
Yeah.
Then step back. You mentioned being part of festivals and
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm
So
still
what?
working on it. Yeah, I worked for the festival in Portugal a long time ago. So between I think between 2004 and 2004, 2016. So it was a lot of time. I was working first as a producer, and then I became curator of the festival. And a part of that, I defined another room for my career, and I went to Brazil and to organize also exhibitions there, not only in the festival, a new festival that I was responsible for. Now with the pandemic situation, we make a pause. So hopefully next year we will return again with a different vision of the festivals. And there I am curator of the board of museum curator of photography in Fortaleza, where I am also advisor. Well, between that, I'm organizing also exhibitions as an independent curator and teacher. Well, a lot of things at the same time, but happy with that.
I was gonna say, so and do you have a private life? Because it sounds like you're very, very busy.
Well, actually, I'm not a mother and I don't have kids. And well, of course, my kids are my own productions or the things I'm doing. So it's hard for a woman too, I can tell you, because it's difficult to combine so many tasks with a private life. But yes, I have a private life at least.
Okay, good.
With the pandemic, I need to stop and the velocity needs to, well, it's not so hectic now, but I keep doing a lot of things by Zoom, like we are doing now, or well, doing portfolios, mentorship, organizing exhibitions. I'm still doing this because we have the idea that this will stop and we will become to real life soon, hopefully.
That's a nice idea.
Yes. We need that dreams, no?
Yeah, we need that hope
That
I
hope.
is what we need, yeah,
Yes,
'cause without it, we would be very depressed
yes,
indeed.
you're right. Mhm.
So, okay, between all of your jobs, so let's say I'm gonna try and title this, podcast something. What is it you'll title yourself? Because 'Cause you're an educator, an artist, a curator. What else do you do? You seem to do probably more. I'm guessing you do more that you
No,
haven't
I
even told
think
me about.
artist and photography curator and educator, I think, is the most well, at least three, huh? It's not, it's good. Triangle things.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. But everything is involved. I think you cannot be educator without organizing things and to be an artist too. Yeah, that's it. It's the life I choose, not to be lawyer.
Okay, but now I don't feel like I really got a great sort of thing on a response on the curating process kind of thing. Like, how do you curate? So, like, take an exhibition that you have in your mind that you already have completed. Like, do you remember how it sort of built itself up?
Yeah, I can tell you about my one experience in as when I was curator of Photo Biennale in China and 2 years ago. It was so interesting because this Biennale anticipate a lot of questions that we are facing nowadays. And you cannot imagine the Biennale have this theme that the theme is trouble and intentions ahead, confusing public and private. That was really interesting biennale that I love to do it because anticipate all these kind of things that we are, well, totally in troubles now. So it was nice because in that time we organized things. We were four curators, and we organized things in terms of to create constellations, not only between public and private, but constellations that can present a view about how history can combine with the present and the future. So it was in a way it was a very challenging time to discover the way I can create or the way we can organize our photography as history and social reality. So I think photography is still really an amazing medium. It's still a fantastic medium that we can learn so much as much as we reflect upon. And well, it was good. So I presented not only photographers that came from Europe but from Brazil. So we were presenting the forest burning there, We create some political artists that were presenting, that were activism about the xenophobic society. So we present also not only, well, the last exhibition, the last video of Robert Frank was presented there together with new artists like Richard Moss or Peter Hugo. It was an amazing event, and divided in these different chapters. And the idea was to how to integrate relationship between the private and the public in photography, which is really an interesting, field to work on, because I think we are losing our privacy, our privacy. You are asking me, you still have privacy? Well, I don't know. Well, since photography was invented, we are really living troubles about that.
I love how you think we still have privacy to lose. It's cute.
It's cute, yes. Yeah. I don't know.
No,
It's what's we learn a lot, but we also lost a lot of our, you know. I don't know. I still it's still a nice reflection to do. You don't think?
of course it is. Oh, it's a great conversation to have and thought process to go through, but unfortunately, Google and Apple and Microsoft has pretty much sort of like taken all of our stuff, not even to mention like Starbucks and all the other like rewards cards that knows all of our habits and all this kind of stuff. I mean,
Mm,
don't start me down
yes,
the conspiracy theory rabbit hole of like all the crap that they know about us. It's
it
ridiculous. But anyways,
is. It is.
but okay, but it sounds like from what I just heard you talking about is that a lot of the job of a curator and a lot of the job of being an artist, and for that matter being a teacher too, is building and maintaining these relationships.
Mhm,
Because I heard you talking about like working with other curators, and then you're grabbing artists from Brazil that you met at some point
mhm,
that you remembered them and you pulled them out of your files and
mhm.
brought them forward kind of thing. So like how important is this to you, and do you think that it's important to like the people who are listening, that the idea of building relationships is part of like the foundation of the art world?
Yeah, that is what this is. Well, actually, I don't think this is a question. I think this is a statement. We need to create connections between curators. So it was based in the Mallarmé, essence of poetry. Like we need to put it everything in terms of constellations in the stars. So that constellations, in a way, help us to understand not only the present and the past and the future too. So we can organize everything in terms of understanding better things, not only based in our comfortable territory, but open the doors for different connections and, at least different approaches and knowledge. I think we can base our knowledge in that. And well, it's so nice. You can learn so much with that, researching and to understand the projects of the others and the way they also work as their creative processes. So sometimes I need poetry, so all the time I need poetry to organize my knowledge. But there are people, and we need maths to understand the the word.
My master's degree is in new genre art, so I'm all about interdisciplinary
Oh,
art, so you don't have
nice.
to convince me on that.
Okay, sorry, sorry, I don't read your bio.
It's okay. No, no, it's probably not even in my bio. It's fine. So, yeah, I'm all about interdisciplinary, and I'm fully aware like basically everything is connected.
Mhm,
Period.
mhm,
So like art is not a white tower all by itself. Art is influenced by other things, and experiences, science, whatever. So I get that. I'm on board with that.
mhm.
So, but what I'm trying to find out from you is like, so when, let's say I'm an artist and I think that you and I would get along, or that you would like my work or whatever, how do artists get onto your radar, sort of onto your list of like, oh, I'll do an exhibition with this person 3 years from now kind of thing. Like I
Mhm.
like what they do. Like how does that relationship even begin?
Well, I also review a lot of. I'm included in a lot of reviews too. So I can tell you that I have friends for all over the world. friends in terms, because then they turn to be also my friends, because in a way, when I review a portfolio, I have this connection with them forever. So they keep sending me the information. Sometimes it doesn't matter, or sometimes it's necessary. Sometimes it's the time that he needs to. Oh, fantastic! I was remember about you. So you need to be all the time aware of that. We are not alone at all. It's necessary to keep sending information, because sometimes I'm working. For instance, recently I'm working in a curatorship of. About genre, about femininity, so it's nice to work on it. And then, of course, it's a long-term show, so I'm still looking for this kind of projects. And I'm also interested in work as about Afrofuturism, about what is the connection between the Africanity with the futurism. So a lot of themes keeps my attention sharp. And of course, there are another things that I don't have interest at all. But anyway, it's good to keep the contact. It's because I can present to the other curators. So in a way, it's a kind of ecosystem. So I don't have nothing against this ecosystem. I think we needed these cooperative projects and platforms to become more easy to enter in the process, and democratically. Otherwise, it's a little bit like, oh, I do. It's not a power ship. It's because I am now there, and I can open the process to others to have the possibility to enter in this show. So it's not based in how I can say, it's not power ship. I don't know if I understand, if I it's well it's a process of friendship. It's a process of be aware and be attention to the other, or having attention to the other projects.
Right. Well, I mean, like friendships and stuff that I've made, relationships that I've made with curators. One thing that I've noticed is you can't enter into these relationships with like a power dynamic. Like one person is not more powerful than the other. One person is not using the other for any advantage. That will never work because then it's like a business transaction more than it's a relationship and
Hmm.
a cooperative process.
Hmm. Yeah, but we still have a lot of things to learn, about this issue. How to be diplomatic enough, and not and to say, well, your project is good, but it's not meaningful for this project, for this situation now. And sometimes you feel pressure, with that. And well, you know what I'm saying. It's the society is still based on this kind of interests, and and the interest is how to construct narratives that define ourselves. And that exhibition could be really power in that moment, and can have a meaning for the others in that moment. So I believe in these terms of, there are exhibitions that are, or there are some art, they are really meaningful in that time and that period. And the family of men, for instance, there was the impact of this exhibition. And we need to have more exhibitions like this, because can create better and can understand us well.
I'm all for more exhibitions that are as powerful and as sort of
Yes.
evolutionary as Family of Man. But right now, though, this is one of the issues: is that there are so many exhibitions throughout the world. It's almost there's too many for any one of them to become such a cultural catalyst, kind of like
I know.
create such big change because of the sheer volume of exhibitions.
Hmm. Matt, there is a question: is we need creativity to survive ourselves. So we all of us are creating objects. So in the end, it's so difficult to find a place where everyone can have a voice and can present their objects. So it's why, of course, and that comes the question: what will be the art in the future? It's true, because it's so, I receive so many books every time, and so many projects. But with that, what you're going to do? Huh? What you're going to do? You're going to create a family of men of books?
There's but that well, I mean, that's the it also goes to the like, right now, they say there are, like, a billion
Millions.
photos taken every day.
Yeah.
I mean, just the sheer I mean, it's an issue of, like, quality versus quantity, and the sheer volume makes it really difficult to find the most impactful ones
Mm.
because you're just inundated with mediocrity.
Yeah, I think it's photography. Wow. But now photography, it's much more than a gesture, right? It's like, it's the photography is now looking to us. Photography is looking to us now. It's like, come on, it's our child who destroyed the father. So what you're going to do now? It's really a medium that creates a conviction that we are living a different generation, the golden age of photography. But that million of photographers or million of photographies in the network are not potential spectators of exhibitions. So it's different. I think there are a kind of difference between platforms, and so the Instagram or this kind of old pictures, it's only communication, it's not photography, I think.
I'm fascinated by what you just said there. You just said Instagram is not art, basically?
Well,
Like,
can be a medium to show art, but is not the place you put it. It's not the exhibition room. I think it's not MoMA. It's not. It's not the exhibition room. I think.
wait, I'm so fascinated. MoMA is your go-to? That's my go-to as
No,
well.
it's not
Like,
my goal. But anyway, it's the first sentence it came to my mouth. But
yeah.
there are some moments. Maybe the space. I don't know. Today, people. I don't know.
Okay, but you also said that you believe that, like, this is a golden age of photography.
Mm.
Do you think is that do you sincerely believe that right now is a golden age? Maybe not the golden age,
No,
but a golden age of photography?
no, I was saying not ego. Actually, it was really a good confusion of the words. Not ego, but golden era.
Yes. Yeah,
The
yeah.
golden.
No, no. Well, no, but what I was differentiating was a
I
golden age versus the golden
okay.
age.
The go. The
So, like, was there a previous golden age, or is this now the golden
I
age?
wish. I wish to understand. To, I don't know how to answer that. I don't have the answers for the future. I would love it, but it's so hard. But we keep doing photography. I keep creating photography all day, all day. So I work with photography. So it's my medium of understanding world. It's my medium to, it's such an amazing tool to understand the world. And I don't have any other better. Of course, I have theater and I have music and I have poetry, but photography really it surprised me all over. Surprised me the way the aspect they can summarize and create an amazing narratives.
All right, let's wrap this up. Last question that I ask everybody, which is basically advice for the next generation. So it could be advice as photographer, as a teacher, or as a curator for the next generation, how they can basically try to be more successful from learning from you.
Mm.
No pressure at all.
Yes, well, uh, we cannot look photography or cannot look to the art as our way of surviving. It's really important not to think photography we will become rich or become financial organized in our lives. So it's necessary to look to the arts as a way of understanding each other, to understand the fragility of life. So I think it's so necessary to find a medium that gave us hope about how to organize our lives. And that means that it's so necessary to be authentic with our ways of looking to things, the way of our message, our meaning. So that means the most important advice is to being authentic. Because even if you don't have so much good work, if you are authentic, if you are, if you work as very with compromise and with spirit of working, I think sooner or later your work will be respectful. So I think it's necessary at least uh, to work. It's very important. Keep working, but and try to organize the expectations, not to put the expectations higher, and learn how to survive with small money. I think it's better. I know it's well, like it's a funny conversation I have with you. But it's not so. It's not the formula. I think we are still looking for the formulas. No, Matt. Yeah.
It's hard. I mean, the art world is not a one size fits all kind of thing. Like there's no spreadsheet, there's no perfect way to be, in the arts industry.
No.
So you find your own path.
Yes. Yes. And as soon as you describe this is your own, it's so fantastic. It's you become much more confident. Because don't try to find formulas or to look the formulas of the others. There is no one. It's not a easy way. Not at all.
No, but it's fun.
It's really fun. I will not change my life. I will do this for all my life. I feel so grateful to find it. Since I was children. So I will keep doing.
Marvelous. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Matt. It was a pleasure to meet you.